Welcome to Coach Soul, the podcast where we explore therapeutic ways to the best versions of ourselves. I'm your host, Steve Hudgins. I'm a licensed professional counselor dedicated to helping you navigate life's challenges. In each uplifting episode, we'll discuss mental health, relationships, self-care, emotional well-being, and personal growth, providing you with valuable insights and actionable tips to thrive. Join me and with my co-host, Evelyn, a therapeutic life coach, where sometimes we'll even welcome special guests to our show that share their experience and expertise. Whether you're looking to improve your relationships or find greater joy, you're in the right place. So let's embark on this transformative path together and discover a healthier and happier you. What a beautiful morning, Miss Kenya. I mean, you know, when you think about waking up, the first thought is, do I really want to get up? Oh, we got to be real.
Comfy bad. Comfy bad. All day long. Let's go. Mm-hmm.
And so you got to reach out for that cup of coffee, get your caffeine going and get that mojo going to get the energy. You know, sometimes are we too independent on the juice?
Maybe. For me, right beside my bed, I have my water, my essential oils. I have my ritual going where I stretch for a few minutes before I actually feel all the flavors in my mouth.
Right.
So I really enjoyed the connection. For me, is all about every day waking up and creating the connection. Tune into God, tune into my body, and go from there. What do you want?
It's interesting, right? When we connect, I got an illustration to kind of illustrate connectivity when we integrate ourselves with other people. And so I think life sometimes can be that hot boiling water that we get ourselves into. And when we connect, are we this egg? You know, I know people heard this illustration before, but you have an egg that's soft. You put in a hard boiling water and it comes out hard boiled. Do we want to be the carrot that's so hard, but life makes us crumble because we're so soft? And what I like about us, Kenya, is Coach Soul.
Yes.
We're this coffee bean that goes into hard boiling water. We don't change. We change the water itself.
Change the water.
So how much can we impact one another by the way we kind of show up, like we did the last couple of podcasts, by showing up? So how do we take connection and be able to influence the lives around us in such a way that we add flavor to other people's lives, but don't turn us bitter?
Oof, I love this so much. And it's not a doing, babe. It's not a doing, Steve. Dear listeners, it's how you be. So if I want to influence love, what do I resonate? Love.
Love, yeah.
I pour that. I pour that in me, so I spill over. I notice that with my children all the time. I notice that with animals. Like they feel it in. What is our flavor? What are we emitting? What are we... You know, you hear that on Coach. I know you hear, and I hear too, but I say you because I know you do more one-on-one live coaching. My coaching is usually online. It's not what you say, is how you say it. That's the flavor.
Oh, right.
I love you, okay? Stop it. Okay, that didn't sound very loving.
Or convincing.
Most of the times we are craving something that appears to be outside of us. So I want my husband to love me, and I want him to give something to me that I have not been giving to myself. So I'm pretty much dry. Talking about flavor, there's dryness.
So let's take these three approaches.
Yes.
And let's just go one at a time, right? And so we take an egg that is, we're kind of soft, and life sometimes when we are showing up has such an impact that we become hardened on the inside. How does that help us to be a positive influence on other people when we're so hardened on the inside and jaded because we've been hurt. And I know from childhood hurt wounds,
Yes.
that is a self-defense
have.
mechanism, right?
That we all have.
Yes.
Just want to make sure that the listeners know that we're in this together. That healing is a constant choice of seeing truth from within. So in my experience, and hundreds of people that I was able to touch up until now, probably more with this podcast, maybe thousands now. When you allow life to harden you, you believe that what life was telling you was true. You believe that sun was not coming out, right? I have a friend in Sweden. Oh my gosh, I love her so much. Helena, hi baby. And she loves Sweden. But there is a season of summer that is this much. So she's used to darkness. Like she even says that. She's like, listen, I miss America because, you know, things here get gray and I feel like people get grayer when the weather's gray. It's just all gray and it's everybody just wear dark. But she is a beam of light. So even though she's in a gray environment, she beams inside. She wishes she would be in a different environment.
Sure.
But she brings the environment from within out versus allow the darkness to harden her. But fun fact, I remember when I first came to America and I was a bit depressed. It was too cold. It was too dark. It was too very different than Brazil. I mean, I was excited the first time I saw snow and everything.
Right.
And dear listeners, this is not just one side of the perception of the darkness. I'm literally talking about weather darkness, but it could be an environment of abuse darkness. It could be an environment of taking advantage of other people darkness. It could be the darkness of emotional, spiritual lack of light or lack itself, the appearance of lack. So we have all been hardened. Let's lead with that.
No, honestly, I mean, it when you think about it breaks the trust. You know, I think of a little kid that's in the dark and they hear a bump in the night, mommy, dad. And we go in, what's going on? There's a monster underneath my bed or there's a monster in my closet. And it's that darkness that makes us to freeze. And so sometimes we do become hardened. Correct. Because we want to avoid the fear. We want to avoid the pain in our life. We want to protect. Yes.
We want to protect. It's not a conscious, let me harden myself right now so I can be okay. It's not conscious. It is the survival brain, subconscious, red light, emergency, lockdown.
Brain.
Exactly.
Right.
You go into lockdown. Here's the thing, dear listeners, if you're listening to right now and you feel like you are in lockdown because things are dark, my intention for you is to see that you get to choose. I know it sounds like, what do you mean? I'm not even able to get up in the morning. Got it. But can you choose to breathe light? Can you choose to breathe hope? Can you choose to breathe possibility? One possibility is to remain closed down in the darkness. What could be another possibility? So carry on.
So the flip side, you have a carrot that's hard. The hot water makes it soft. And so the flip side, when I think about this, I mean, when you think about soldiers who lose a limb, some of them have the resiliency of saying, I'm going to come back. You know what? A friend that I fell out of touch with, it was Mr. Strickland. And he has a fascinating story where he lost both legs. Half of his skull was missing, wasn't expected to live. his wife flew over to Germany and stayed by his bedside. And yet she sang songs to him. But to talk to him, he has such a positive outlook. He could have been hardened. Yeah, he was hardened by life and what happened. But like you said, he chose to be able to become soft, so to speak. But softness does not mean that we are being taken advantage of either.
There we go. There we go. Soft does not mean that you lose your voice, that you lose your will, that you become a reflector of everybody's wishes and desires upon you.
Right.
So there is a fine line. I believe that what we just witnessed through this metaphor is the pendulum swing. Totally hearted, totally soft, falling apart.
Right.
Right? And it's okay, dear listeners, if you're experiencing that, oh my gosh, I don't even know what I want. Who am I again? If you're answering those questions, perfect. You notice, because in the moment you notice, you can do something about it. You can, and you are the protagonist of your life. And at any moment you can say plot twist. And then she opened her heart. And then he opened his heart. And she embodied her voice. And plot twist is always available to you.
You know, when you are hardened like a carrot, therapy is that boiling water. Because what we're doing is bringing him back into the softness of your heart, not to be taken advantage of, but to help you define an authentic self, a self-identity. And we'll get to the next one here in a second. But when I think of what therapy can do for people, it is able to draw out those childhood hurt wounds to say, you have the power now that you didn't have back then. It doesn't define you. You define yourself. Oftentimes, I mean, I've had clients that were so close. I had a guy that was so close into therapy. I mean, it was so bad that his abuse was he was in a dog cage and fed with, food and things like that. It's just so abusive that as I was working with him to do kind of a Gestalt type therapy, meaning the empty chair, I wanted him to write a letter because he wanted to go back and visit,
Sure.
people.
Sure. Best. Yeah.
He just stopped. And it's because, I feel for him because the pain is so real. But at what point are we going to be able to push ourselves through hard water to be able to take the hardness and to be able to become soft again, but empowering ourselves? That's the key, to empower, because we're misled that we don't have power because power was taken away. And we become conditioned behavior because of that. So what's the next thing? Is the coffee bean. It's learning how to be authentic to yourself, that you become the influence about people around you. And sometimes that takes some tough calls, Kenya.
Okay, so Steve, here's the thing. What comes up for me is, how do you even know? How do you know? I have my own answers, but I want our listeners to hear your perspective. How do you know? How do you know who your flavor? How do you come from completely hardened to completely no voice, or people pleasing? That's a good way of putting it. Like, okay, I just give you everything, whatever, it doesn't matter, which is actually apathy. Okay. Like, I don't care. I just complete survival mode. Into becoming you.
When you are faced with death, when you have just the unknown that's facing you, is where do you go from there?
Mm.
And so in order to heal, I had to accept my pain and realize that pain is not killing me. I'm killing me by avoiding the pain.
There we go. There we go.
And so in order to find the life that I needed, I had to shed the false lies that I was telling myself. That I had to stop expecting others to love me in the way I needed and just accept them, but to love them in the way they needed.
And carry on. How, in order to love them the way they needed, what do you needed to feel?
I had to show up. I had to have that self-love for myself, that I'm okay, that so one of the things that I taught myself, that I teach my clients, is we get this thought that I'm not worthy.
Correct.
That's so powerful, because how many people say I'm just not worthy, I'm not good enough. So what I walk to my clients is a passage in scripture that talks about take every thought captive and make it obedient to the truth. So obedient. I can tell my dog to it with silence, with finger motion, that he can sit, he can lay down. I do the scissors and he'll bark real softly. I trained him, but I didn't have to discipline. I gave him positive reinforcement to get that. So I'm making him obedient. Well, to capture something, I think of a zoo. You're capturing an animal to observe the behavior of its environment. So you take this thought, worthless, you're capturing it. How are we going to make this obedient to the truth? So I ask myself and I ask my clients, whose image are you created in? God's. Okay. So when we say we're not worthy, we're saying God's not worthy because we are part of him. And that resonated so much in me that God has really inspired my life, that I went from a 34% chance of living. As long as you don't kill me and I hit a bus, I got a long chance of living. And I take good care of myself, and the doctor has given me a good, clean bill of health. The cancer is not coming back. I've been healed. It's a miraculous type thing for me. And so when I think about accepting pain, but rebuilding myself to tell myself I'm empowering my childhood in me. I am lovable. I am worthy. And so sometimes I have to shed toxic people out of my life to be able to be a positive influence to others, like a coffee bean.
So let me tell you what I heard you saying.
Sure.
Oh, so powerful. The thoughts of worthiness or unworthiness will always come knocking the door. I'll repeat it for those in the back seat.
Ding dong.
It will come. Sometimes several times a day, sometimes on a daily basis, but it will come like a bird flying by. Would you agree with the bird, with the voice, with the thought? Even if it's, but Kenny, it's not outside, it's inside my head, it's my thought. Well, what if it isn't?
Right.
It is the thought, doesn't mean my thought. You still have the choice to agree. That's what I heard you saying. And this invitation, for as long as if you're identified as a human, can I see the hands? If you identify as a human, you will always have a thought or a collection of thoughts of questioning who you be. And you get to answer the question in the way that supports the vision of who you are or who you want it to be.
That you share that, because I teach at a university, And one of the things that we have to go through is teaching them how to diagram, to geneogram. At first, I was going to have my students to diagram each other.
Sure.
But I became vulnerable, owned my story, gave them my geneogram to diagram.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a relationship? No. Do you have a relationship? No. What's happened in your background? Well, there's been some abuse. Okay. But that doesn't define me. But I owned my story. Was it difficult? At times it was difficult.
Of course. I can imagine.
But I had to tell myself, how are other people going to learn how to be effective therapists if I don't show up?
100%. Well, and here's the thing. If the measurement here is, I know that I'm healed when I don't have the worthy unworthiness thought, then please delete this podcast, because that's not what we're reflecting here. If you are a human, the thought will come. And you get to say, no, I don't have relationship with my whatever, my son or my daughter or my aunt, my dad, whatever it is. And you get to tell yourself, it doesn't mean nothing. It's neutral. What it means is I cut off toxic people out of my realm of resonance. Because I know I am worthy, I get to be surrounded by people that see me as I see me. I will never be the one judging a client sitting in front of me saying, I haven't talked to my mom in 3 years. Tell me more. Right? Safe space. Safe space. So, dear listeners, your homework is notice where you're at. Where are you at in the realm of the boiled egg, in the carrot, are you starting to owning that you bring the frequency? It's not the weather, it's not the church, it's not the hubby, it's not I resonate what I'm choosing to. And because of the Holy Spirit, I know I have within me the fruits.
So what I've learned, because growing up, I was taught what stays in Vegas. I mean, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Same thing. What happens in our house cannot leave the house, and that's there. So I was taught silence, guilt, and shame.
Ooh, okay.
But when I learned to empower myself, to own my stuff, to own my story, no one can rob me and make me feel guilty because I own it.
Correct.
And that's the coffee bean.
Yeah.
You own it.
You can shame me because I know where I have been and I own that.
That's right. So the power of the coffee bean is so powerful that you can have a story that impacts other people, to influence people to grow. We're such a divided country right now. Who's going to be the coffee bean to start the healing process of bringing all cultures together? It doesn't matter about the sex, race, age, gender. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we bleed red, and can we be supportive and hold safe space for one another, that we can start brewing the coffee and get high on caffeine with each other because of the impact that we bring. Cheesy, I know.
No, but
it makes
cheesy.
A lot of sense.
I love the clarity of our unique flavor. I love the clarity. As I own my unique flavor. And there's so many podcasts, there's so many conversations to have around owning. What do you mean by owning unique flavor? Well, because we look at our thumbprint, right? This is like the 3D manifestation that we are different and we are so alike. We're here to love, to be loved, to We're here to express yourselves and your unique gifts. Do you even know what your gifts are? Do you want to discover? There's so many clues that God has put in your realm for you to dive deep into what makes you tick, and trust that. Trust your gifts. Gifts don't come out of you for no reason. They're here to be given away, just like we're doing it right now, Steve. That I'm so pumped about this podcast, that we get to share our gifts, our thoughts to anyone that tune into this. And if this has been helping you, dear listeners, share with your friends. We're investing a lot of thought and a vision into where we are allowing this podcast and our voices to be heard in 4 corners of the world. So thank you so much for commenting, for sharing, for just being here, and allow Steve's voice and my voice to be to stir some truth in your soul. Because in the end of the day, I dare to say we believe that there's not one way. Right? If you get to go to who I am, who Kenya is, and all the places I have been, and so many modalities that I have explored on, as well as Steve, it's not just one way. It's the way that is right for you to experience your reflection, to experience healing, to experience empowerment. There's not one technique. There's the one that reflects truth for you to become more of you.
So Kenya, do you drink coffee?
I do.
How do you like your coffee?
But I do.
How do you like your coffee?
I like my coffee. I have to think. I like my coffee with stevia, and maybe once a week, not every day. Yeah, but it's like just black. With a little bit of sugar, stevia.
Okay. But that's your coffee, right?
That's my coffee.
I like hot lattes with coconut milk with sugar-free vanilla, but add a little bit cinnamon to the latte.
Oh, wow. Specific. Like it.
I'm specific coffee, right? And so here's the dynamic. We all have flavors within our own coffee. It's still coffee. Can we accept the differences that, gross, Kenya, you drink it like that? Why cause pain? Why not just say, okay, Kenya, that's unique. I may have to try it someday.
Right.
I've tried black coffee. I had to drink it when I was in the Army because on cold nights, you got to have something hot. And so my grandpa always said, you drink the black coffee like that, you can grow hair on your chest. Well, I just don't know about that saying. But that man, he invented cold coffee before cold coffee came into my grandmother would make hot pots. And it would sit there. So it was either cold, warm, or hot. He would drink it all day long.
Wow.
And it was straight black. But he was a very good, wise man too. But here's what I'm going to go with this so that we can end with the podcast. I hope you were able to, as listeners, to understand the 3 different dynamics you can be in this life. You can let life harden you.
Correct.
You can take your life and turn it around and kind of be a little bit more softer. But that's 2 extremes. We want the balance of you're recognizing your self-worth, that you add flavor to this life. But we accept each other's flavor because we are a melting pot. And together we are able to form such a unified way of loving and showing up. And I don't know about you, but I'm so tired of negative. That's why I enjoy being the coffee bean, to be able to brighten somebody's day of, hey, it's what we call narrative therapy. I understand. And then I put the spin on, what if we looked at it from this deranged angle? And they're like, well, I never thought about it that way. So take today as a narrative of approach about how to make a difference in other people's lives, especially yours, by being the coffee bean. Go ahead and finish it, Kenya. Take it away.
I'm just so grateful that we get to spend this time together. And remember, you are worthy. You're beautifully and wonderfully made. You are, because you are. You don't need evidence outside of you. You get to believe. You get to trust. You get to step into the possibility that there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. And the healing comes from a place of believing in your essence. It's not healing wounds per se. It's allowing the wounds, which is really the voices from the past, and those voices are untruth. Those voices are lies that you took as truth. So remember, you say you are what you say you are. I love you so much. We love you.
Until next time.
See you next time.
Take care. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Coach Soul, where we aim to empower and uplift you on your journey toward personal growth and well-being to become a better you. Remember, as you navigate through life, you don't have to do it alone. We encourage you to reach out to professionals, seek support from loved ones, and prioritize your own well-being. Stay tuned for future episodes with Steve Hudgins, filled with valuable insights and actionable tips. You have the power to thrive, and with Coach Soul by your side, anything is possible. Until next time, take care, stay empowered, and keep shining your brightest light. For more information, contact Coach at coachedsoul.com.